remember, to resonate with a story and to become invested in a story is recognizing the character's journey and the arc that character is going on, and in some way relating it to their own lives, right? And that, I think there's a catharsis in that. It comes back to that idea that it helps to remind us that we're part of a community and that we're not these islands that float around experiencing the world in the most unique way, that other people experience the world the same way that we do. I can't remember the exact number, but I remember being in the ballpark of something like 27.4 million people in this country are tuning into radio every single day. It is slightly lower than those who are tuning into streaming services. You've got a massive audience there who's consuming the medium, right? They're engaged with the medium of audio. Why are we not kind of catering and tailoring social messages to be available through that medium? So that's this kind of like question that I had looking at like how the audio medium is really, really taking off outside of South Africa, and then wondering, can we bring that model to South Africa? But rather than making it just for entertainment purposes, why don't we make it matter? Why don't we do something that actually is going to have something like a social impact? In India, in fact, where they addressed the issue of young girls being married off, prearranged marriages, girls who haven't even finished high school yet. And they started using audio dramas to be able to address that issue, and they found that the impacts, the result that they're getting from that are far more impactful than any direct intervention by authorities. So I started thinking, okay, would this apply to South Africa? Now, a lot of people, when we first started the research, a lot of people said, like, my life hasn't been that interesting. I've lived in this, like, really sheltered neighborhood. I don't have these big, impactful, dramatic stories to tell. And I sort of encouraged them. I was like, yeah, well, just explore it a little bit more. There were moments during the focus group where people broke down and they cried because they were telling some really raw stories, things that they hadn't spoken to anybody else about. But then through the lens of this other character that they'd constructed, they were able to speak some sort of a truth. So I think there was a very cathartic experience. We've got resources available for free to grassroots communities who otherwise wouldn't be able to necessarily afford these sorts of resources, where they can actually start getting their message out. And I think that was one of the biggest things that impacted me about this research, is how readily available these resources are if we could just find a way to communicate this to people and show them where these resources are available to them. I mean, it's be the change you want to see in the world, right? Yeah. Like if you can start to change yourself, you start to change your community. If you start to change the narrative that you tell yourself, you're then able to start like reaching out and changing the community that you live in as well.